Welcome back here. We're joined here by board member of the Manitowoc Waters Historical Society, Jim Bokern, and there's a lot of recent history coming out of the Northwoods. So Jim, can you tell us a little bit about Al Capone and his involvement? We learned some more with some new information that we have now.
Yes, we've just received a new collection from the Hawkinson family, and we have found out that around Manitowoc Waters in Winchester and Mercer, Al Capone's presence was much greater than we ever believed before. And we got this from the Bill Sell collection. Bill Sell was a pioneer logger, business owner, resort owner, and he was also a top-notch realtor. And Al Capone befriended him, and that's the source of all of these. This is going to be available free at the Manitowoc Waters Historical Society website, and people can just send us an email and get the unwatermarked images like the one behind us right here.
Mm-hmm. And so we've done a little bit of stories on, we have done a story on this before, but for those who aren't familiar, can you kind of walk us through what's new here? And I know there's a lot to it, but if you can unpack maybe one or two key pieces of information that are new discoveries for you.
Sure. Well, first of all, we're processing this collection, and it is really quite robust of written letters, images, memorabilia, and a firearm from Al Capone. We possess just images of this, not the original documents. But the documents themselves really reveal that Al Capone was very much involved in this neck of the Northwoods, particularly early on as a lieutenant. In the 1924 article, and where we get most of the images, and there are several on our website for people to access, he spent a lot of time in the Winchester area, whether at Trostle Resort property or on Bill Sell's property on South Turtle Lake. And he created a fast and strong friendship with Bill Sell. So we get this correspondence. It's important to note that prior to the auction of these documents, only 4 other letters of correspondence within Al Capone had ever been auctioned before, and none of them were about his Prohibition and gangster era. So these really are quite unique. The 1924 letter where Capone writes Bill Sell and says, "Hey, that moonshiner that I like so much, tell him to come down to Cicero, Illinois. I got a big order of wine and whiskey for him." So to have a connection from, northern Wisconsin to Al Capone, even though he was just a lieutenant that time in the Chicago outfit, to solicit moonshine, that's amazing. Then some time passes on. In 1925, Al Capone, just before he ascends to the ringleader of the Chicago outfit, there was an assassination attempt on his life. And Bill Sell and Al Capone were such good friends that 2 days after his assassination attempt, he wrote a letter to Bill Sell, and we have that letter. And it talks about how they're friends and looking forward to getting together, and it is kind of interesting. Shortly after that, Johnny Torrio is shot 5 times and says, "I've had enough of this," and hands off the business to Al Capone, and the rest is history. The third letter is when Al Capone is in jail in Pennsylvania. He got arrested before he went to Alcatraz in 1931 in Pennsylvania for a weapons violation, concealed weapons, spent some time in jail. So there's a letter from the penitentiary, and he's basically looking for a land deal because Bill Sell is this amazing realtor. And he wanted to buy land up in that area to create an enclave. And we have so much more to add to this.
What does this do for the Northwoods community? Why is it so important that we share these discoveries?
Well, it's part of our heritage, and it's part of a story. It's a story of Al Capone and the mobsters, but it's also a story of the evolution of the Northwoods, and that as a resort area, we had the advantage of having a diversity of visitors in the region. In the Manitowoc Waters area, we seem to have a concentration of gangster activity and we can cover that at another time. But more importantly, it's about the locals and how they befriended all sorts of visitors and made a living, some of it honest, some of it not so honest. And during the 1920s, when really there was an agri-recession in the area, it made things tough on farmers in this area, and also in the Great Depression.
That's really unique. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be right back after the break.